Find the Facts, a series where we talk to real experts to get actual information on things that we may have been taught wrong, and where we also just learn about things that we don't know but should. And as a woman in her 30s, I'm really excited about today's topic, in vitro fertilization. So I already have a son. I had him really young, but now that I'm in my 30s, I often think about, should I freeze my eggs? What if I want another kid? What I need to do in vitro fertilization? What does that process look like? Is it painful to remove an egg? I have so many questions. So I'm really excited to sit down and talk to our expert, Maria Banti, who is a lab director and clinical embryologist. The first question to kind of kick things off is explain what in vitro fertilization is.
In vitro fertilization, also known as IVF, it is the process where a woman will be taking hormones for approximately 2 weeks in order to produce more eggs. So we stimulate her ovaries with these hormones. Then the eggs will be collected under ultrasound guidance by the doctor and the embryologist. At the same time, sperm will be prepared. The way we prepare the sperm, we get rid of all the abnormal and immotile sperm. So we choose the best batch of them. The eggs will be fertilized in the lab, and the embryos that will be produced will be cultured until a certain stage in the laboratory. After that, according to the plan, we will decide whether we're gonna do a fresh transfer, meaning we will transfer the embryos at this stage back to the woman, or if we will freeze the embryos, or if we'll actually do pre-implantation genetic testing to see if the embryos are chromosomally normal and then freeze the embryos. For the transfer, no anesthesia is involved. It's like a smear test. Actually, it's easier than a smear test. And there is a small catheter that the woman doesn't even feel, that we load the embryos inside and we pass this catheter to the uterus where we inject the embryos.
I have heard people say that they can choose, if it's like a male or female.
Yes, basically the pre-implantation genetic testing, what it involves is that it tests all the chromosomes to see if there's any kind of abnormality. And in these chromosomes, the chromosomes that will determine the gender are involved. There are 2 different types of genetic testing. The classic method that we used all the years before, where we remove some of the cells from each embryo, and we will genetically test these cells, and we will know for each embryo if the chromosomal constitution is the right one. And now this tends to be replaced by the non-invasive genetic testing, where we do not touch the embryos at all. We just analyze the fluid in which they were growing, and this fluid contains DNA that will tell us if the embryo is chromosomally normal or abnormal.
Then you're going to go, insert the embryos. How many would you do? Because it's not like you can just do one, right?
You can do one. Actually, we are trying to transfer as less embryos as possible, and the majority of the transfer nowadays are elective single embryo transfers, because we want the woman to fall pregnant, but at the same time we want the woman to have a healthy pregnancy. We used to transfer more embryos many years ago because we weren't as much confident, and because yes, if you transfer more, you increase the chances of a pregnancy. In older women above 40, we do consider transferring more than one embryo, just because of the quality of them, but recently, because we have the genetic testing as well, which happens in the majority of the cases, if we know that an embryo is chromosomally normal, we know that it has very good chances of implantation. So if we take the IVF success rates into consideration, we would expect approximately 60% pregnancy rate for women below 35, which obviously can be increased if it's combined with genetic testing to make sure that you're transferring a normal embryo. But then after the age of 35, we see that the success rates drop significantly. And this is because the egg quality declines and the quantity of the eggs we collect.
How long do they usually make you wait before they will be like, okay, let's do it in vitro?
Let's start by defining infertility. So when do we think that somebody is infertile? Infertility means that there's failure to achieve a pregnancy after 12 months of regular, unprotected sexual intercourse. Then after 12 months, it's good that they visit a doctor or a fertility clinics to do a pre-assessment. So they will do tests to assess the female fertility to see if there is ovarian reserve, and also the male fertility to see how is the sperm quality, and then see if there's any issue in these 2. If not, then there are milder approaches that the doctor might prefer to follow before jumping into the more invasive procedures like IVF.
Would you recommend, just from a professional standpoint, like if someone was, between the ages of like 35 and 37 and they're like, I may one day want to have a kid, but I'm not married. I don't have a partner. Do you think it's a good idea for someone at that age to freeze their eggs so they're better quality?
Yes, 100%. So I would say that every woman around the age of 30 that doesn't have in the short plans in life to childbear, that it's good to think of freezing her eggs. So definitely before the age of 37. Even if you're above 37 and you don't see you anytime soon to have a child, still you can consider egg freezing, but especially those that are below 37, it's good to start considering freezing their eggs.
And a guy's sperm will always have quality sperm no matter how old they are, basically.
In men, the quality can go down as well. So as the man ages, there is a higher risk of men, let's say above 40 years of age, to have a child with autism, slightly increased risk, and also other genetic mutations. It's good even for men that at the age of 18, that's what the studies are showing, to just go freeze their samples just to have them as a backup.
Well, I learned that I need to start saving up to freeze my eggs. Anyways, I hope this was helpful to you in some way, and that was in vitro fertilization in a nutshell. If you have a topic that you're curious about or just want more information on, message me at Call Me Krista Torres, and I'll do my best to find an expert who can help us out.